Okay, so the last thing that I want to mention is an excellent tool for you guys to use as you prepare for SCDC and as you go on to ICDC if you qualify. And that is an excellent website that Drew has made for all of us, for our whole association and International DECA. So the link is called bit.ly/DECA roleplays in all capital letters. And this is essentially going to walk you through the entire process of what doing a role play is like. And it's excellent for those of you who haven't done role plays before. And it's even better for those of you who are trying to improve your role plays and make them really go to the next level. And again, that's the link, but it'll also be linked in the article that Trent mentioned earlier. Yeah, and it'll also have the top 10 terms for each career cluster that you need to know. This is an excellent tool to know when you're going into role play, specifically for each career cluster.
Awesome. Now, with SCDC coming up so quick, it's time to decide if you want to be a part of the 2018-2019 state officer team. Now, three of my teammates have been serving 2 terms, and we all love and recommend this program. So, Brian, would you like to share your experience about your state officer terms?
Sure. So, like Drew said, 3 of us on the team are 2-term officers. We've been at this for 2 years. I am one of the lucky ones that gets to be a part of that. And like he said, I cannot recommend this program enough. It has done so much for me. It has taught me so many leadership skills that I will take beyond DECA. I will use them whether I'm hanging out with friends or running a meeting. I can use them in almost any part of my life, and I've been very happy to be part of this program. I've been able to go to conferences and meet people that I would have never otherwise, and I've been able to really give back to DECA, an organization that I love so much. If I could do it all over again, I absolutely would.
Thanks, Brian, for sharing. So if you are interested in running, you can find forms online at OregonDeca.org under the State Officer tab. Remember that the forms are due by January 11th, but you might want to get started a little bit beforehand because you do have to get a letter of recommendation and other materials prepped for your application. Now, once you do have your campaign materials and forms submitted, you want to start thinking about getting ready for SCDC. You may know that you need to have a campaign booth, a platform, and a 3-minute speech prepared. And so you want to finalize all of that before you get to SCDC. Now, Akila, would you like to share how fun campaigning is at SCDC?
Yeah, Drew, it's a ton of fun. So the 2 things that I want to highlight for you guys are campaigning through social media, and of course we do have some guidelines for that, which Drew will go over in just a bit. But this can be a really great tool to access all of the DECA members that you are connected with via social media and make sure that you get the message out there that you are running. And that they should vote for you and what aspects your campaign offers. And again, there are guidelines that you need to follow, which Drew will talk about in a bit. And the second great aspect of being able to campaign and great method for campaigning is just going out there and introducing yourself to everyone that you walk past. Just saying, hi, my name's Akila and I'm running for this position. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. And there you go, you have a network. And not only is this great if you are running this year, but it's excellent if you're actually planning to run in the future. For example, if you're a freshman, sophomore, whatever it may be. And this can be really great because you start to build your network at a young age. And then as you progress through your several years, you're able to access that network and have that voter base as you run for state office.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Akila. So in my past 2 terms, I've really loved getting to meet Oregon DECA members and other members from across the country. It's probably been one of the biggest things and biggest accomplishments that I've had in DECA. And so I would recommend this to you. And if you do plan to go along and run for state office, congratulations, first of all. And I would like to have you guys keep in mind that do not campaign before SCDC. you want to make sure that you're getting all of your materials prepped so that you can do all of your campaigning at ICDC. And then there are a bunch of guidelines that you will have to follow and read over, which is located in the state officer packet when you choose to look at that online. Mostly, it's just being professional and being the best you that there is at SCDC. So if you want some more insight, please feel free to contact any of the state officers, and we can share a little bit more about the program or where you can find materials for running for state office.
So to piggyback off of Drew, if you didn't know, that us as a state officer team got to go to Washington, D.C. last summer. And while we were there, we got to meet with our senators, our House of Representatives. If you watch any of Daniel's videos that he put up, we had a great time. This takes us into our next piece, which is the advocacy letter writing campaign. So while we were in Washington, D.C., and we actually got the opportunity to set up meetings and talk to our legislators, we learned that legislators love to receive information from us or high school students. If you don't know who your legislator is, that's totally fine. You can go to Google and just search either find my legislator, and what you want to do is try and find your state-based legislator or House of Representative. And with that, find out their email, write them a personal email. Just say, like, your DECA story, how DECA is so great, why high school students need DECA. Basically, just try and push all this positive information at them. And doing this, it can really help legislators make decisions on different bills and different tasks that they have coming up, so that DECA and other CTSOs get more support, more funding, and basically make our organization, which all of us state officers, and hopefully all you, love. If you do take advantage of this great opportunity, please have someone trustworthy, either like a writing teacher, of course your advisor, proofread the email, because nothing's more embarrassing than sending an email and noticing afterward that you messed up somewhere. This opportunity is also great to put on either resumes or just to have as a future reference. So you can be like, hey, I was talking to the senator about DECA this past weekend, or sometimes if you send emails, you can actually get a face-to-face interaction and get to talk to one of your legislators and be like, this is why I love DECA. DECA's so great. DECA, DECA, DECA. So if you do take the time to write a personal email, we thank you as a state officer team. We encourage you and as many of your chapter mates you can get to do this. It'll really help DECA and all the other CTSOs, so we can only inspire and achieve from here on out.
Thank you, Patrick. So now we're going to move on to scholarships. So every year, DECA puts out a list of scholarships that are just for DECA students. And it's a really great opportunity to find some scholarships that you can be competitive in and that can really help you put a dent in that college tuition bill. So I'm a senior this year, and so it's a cause that's close to my heart, let's say. But the scholarships are not just for seniors. I applied for a few last year, and so it's a great way to get started early and make a dent into your college cost. So I have 5 tips for you if you are planning on applying for DECA scholarships, which you all should, because you all have a great chance at getting them, and some of them aren't even that hard. But first, you should start early. So if you start early, you can clear up any hiccups if you have them. The scholarship applications are due January 19th. And if you're selected as a finalist, you actually have to send in all of your materials by mail. And so that can be kind of annoying, kind of cumbersome. We We like to think that we've stepped into the 21st century, but sometimes we have to use snail mail, and that's all right. But just remember, starting early to make sure that you get through all of the hoops that need to be jumped through. Next is identify scholarships that apply to you, and so some of the scholarships say specifically students who have competed in automotive service, or who want to pursue a management degree, something to that effect. And so if you are looking at those, you have to find which scholarships apply to you. There's actually a really cool DECA flowchart of which DECA scholarships apply to you. There are over 300,000 of them, and so there's probably one that does apply to you. Like Patrick said, third tip, proofread. Make sure that you have somebody proofread your application so that there are no mistakes. Any mistakes might make your application look less good than you actually are, and that could hurt your chances of getting a scholarship. And so make sure that everything is polished. If you need a letter of recommendation, get it from someone who knows you. So letters of recommendation are really good at revealing things that can't be found in other parts of your application. And if you have someone who does it fast and doesn't actually put in the time, or they don't actually know you very well, it makes it harder to reveal what the letter is supposed to reveal. And then finally, make sure that you have all of the required application materials. Last year when I was doing this, I had piles. I had like 6 different piles, and I would set one piece of paper on every pile, and then I'd go around again, and then go around again, until I had put all of the required materials on each pile. And then I went around to each pile, and I double-checked to make sure that every pile had every paper that I had put down. It is sometimes kind of labor-intensive, but it makes sure that you have the best chance of getting one of those scholarships.
Thank you, Brian. All right, so we've covered a lot of information on this call, so let's do a quick recap. Trent started off by talking about SCDC, and once again, SCDC will be held at Jansen Beach from February 11th through the 13th. In preparation for SCDC, Akila shared some of her own competition tips and tricks, and you all have access to the DECA Roleplay website. Next, I was able to share with you guys some information about running for state office, and you got to hear some unique stories and officers share their experience. Remember that the deadline to apply for state office is January 12th. Then Patrick shared Oregon DECA's advocacy campaign. So please make sure to take the information back to your chapter and participate by writing letters to your own representatives and senators. Finally, Brian finished the call with tips for applying for DECA roleplays. Remember, these scholarships are only for DECA members, so be sure to take advantage of these resources. Now that we've covered everything on the agenda, I'd like to open the call up. If you weren't able to participate or attend the call, if you still have questions, please feel free to contact any of the state officers, and we will be more than willing to help you. On behalf of the Oregon DECA State Officer team, I'd like to thank you for joining this call, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one in February. Thank you so much and have a great night.